Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown, a show where me and some guests talk about the week's news, understanding just how pointless what we're doing is. My guests this week are...
Tom Mayhew
and...
Pete Cadden.
Fantastic. Now, the story that we're going to start with, we're going to not start with politics. We're not starting with that. We're going to start with a fun story this week, which is the Universities and Colleges Union says that regardless of skin tone, people should be able to identify as black. Now, this is a body that represents 120,000 academics, and it said, our rules commit us to ending all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and stereotyping. The UCU has a long history of enabling members to self-identify, whether that is being black, disabled, LGBT+, or women. Thoughts?
Straight away, it's nice for you to ask two white men about this question.
This is why I started with it, mate. This is why I started with it. You know, I thought, who would be better to actually deal with this than three white men?
Hold on.
We should
be throwing that W word around.
What, you think you're tanned, mate?
Sort of green.
You know the island isn't Barbados. You get that, right? I mean, you could argue that you're not white, you're more pink.
Yeah, see-through, transparent, kind of. It's a utopia.
But is this either a great step forward for equality or one of the stupidest things you've ever heard in your fucking life?
It does sound like PC gone mad a bit. It's maybe a backlash to the cultural appropriation trend. You know there was a lady in America that was caught out identifying as black.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, where she called, I think she had a conversation with Lorraine Kelly, where she called Lorraine Kelly trans black or something.
Yeah, it's not... I feel like it's just... I agree it's going too far. It's kind of... Because you can't identify as whatever you want. Like, you couldn't identify as disabled if you're not medically disabled. Surely that's
a thing.
Do people do that?
Their argument is they're trying to move it away from facts and move it more into social. So, like, if you feel disabled, then you can claim yourself to be disabled. My main issue is why is it always you can claim yourself to be black, disabled, LGBT, or anything else? You can never claim yourself to be a straight white man. Which really, wouldn't everyone rather do that?
Yeah.
How do you see yourself? Straight white man. Then you've got this job. Yeah. Fantastic. If everyone was treated as a straight white man, then wouldn't that be the equality that you actually want?
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, maybe. I guess what they should do is say all this shit is meaningless, but instead what they're doing is going, you can choose to be whatever you want.
Yeah.
But which is insanity, because it's difficult, because you don't want to say too much, because you don't want to end up...
I mean, you do want to say too much. We've got an hour to get through.
Yeah, but you don't want to feel like you're appeasing the people who go like, people who identify as a woman, even though you're not. You don't want to feel like you're appeasing those right-wing people.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Like, you're not going along with like someone like Piers Morgan and saying, well, I identify as a penguin. Like, well, then let's put you down. As you should with all penguins. I love penguins, but they're dangerous. Kill them all. Look at them. You don't trust them.
Could it be a case of the media manipulating what is just a regular story?
Well, they said it. I mean, this is exactly what this is their quote. This is what they said. I don't know what more.
So could I identify as Inuit?
In their views, you probably can do.
Just go start clubbing seals and building tents.
I mean, you can claim to be Inuit, but if you're just going over stereotypes, I think that still may be racist.
Yeah, but Inuits are racist.
It's like going... it's like...
Inuits are known racist.
That's like going along and going, I identify myself as black, now I'm really fast. No, that's not how it works. You know, you can't just... You're not the human equivalent of Animal Man, where you just take on the aspects of every race.
I'm mainly worried by you saying that, we will have lost your many Inuit viewers.
Oh, tons of them.
Your subscriber count's just going to plummet, I think.
I mean, fuck them. So
That's what you say to all your viewers, in fairness.
exactly. I'm equal opportunity. Everyone can get fucked.
What are the chances? Like, what are the implications of this?
Well, I think like the main issue comes from if you want to do it as social and say everyone can claim to be whatever they so wish, that doesn't stop reality. And this is the big issue. If you're like, we've got enough transphobes in this world to not have to add any more heat for them to go along. I think, but like if you're a woman that sees themselves as a man, if you're a man who sees themselves as a woman, that I've got no qualms. Absolutely, on you go. It's up to society to then evolve to understand trans people. With something like this, though, you can claim to be black or everything else, but I always bring it back to the point that you can't claim to be a straight white man. And we're at a point in society where straight white men are the most privileged of the bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before, I'm very happy being one. I wouldn't pick different. The rest seem like a fucking struggle to me.
Yeah.
I don't like my life being that hard. So this is where it comes to with all of this. Like, you can identify as black, you can identify with all of this, but unless it actually changes in society, you can claim whatever you like, but that's not changing the reality of the discrimination you're facing.
So do you think, is this someone who they've tried to understand trans issues and understand that people can identify as different genders, and they've just got confused and taken it way too far?
I mean, it could be that. It could be just people like talking shit.
Yeah.
It could. I mean, this is it. All I've done is I've had a look at the news. I've read what they said, and we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Would there not be an element of that at some point going towards full equality? Like, could Bill Gates not decide to start wearing high tops and to come out and say identify as black? Would that be eventually the toppling of the straight white man?
Well, I think you made the point with regards to cultural appropriation. Like, you can identify as black all you like, but if you're still treated as what your actual skin colour is in a society that's still going to treat you better for being a particular tone, then it doesn't matter what you claim that you are.
It seems to be the way in for that, for like, say, for a mixed race British person, they just drop the race part, and they push they refer to them as British. Yeah,
but then I mean the argument. I've seen a lot of mixed race comedians who have come out and have always said the same, which is, I may be mixed race, but I'm never treated as white.
That was Chris Morris's argument for Four Lions, that these young British lads are getting radicalised because they're never allowed to feel British at home, and then they're treated as British when they go to these other countries.
Exactly.
So it makes them vulnerable. Or pissed off, rather.
Well, I think we've covered it. Now to the election. I'm not going to claim that we've solved it, but
no, it's fixed.
We gave it a fucking go, didn't we? We're never going to solve such an issue in such a short space of time. So, the election. Have you watched any of it this week?
I watched the one. Well, I watched the one last night with all four leaders in front of BBC. Have they done that before when they've had like real people? Well, I say real people.
They're hand-picked people.
Chosen real people who may or may not be activists and have probably been on Question Time before. But have they done it before? I don't remember it in 2017.
No.
So is this a new thing for the BBC to trial?
I mean, my first question, because this was allowing, because I've watched none of it, mainly because I read enough about it, and I don't need someone telling me lies. I can read the lies, But this is where the audience are able to ask questions, and I worry about that. I think Question Time is one of the most pointless things in the world. I can't consider a more pointless thing with people coming along and asking the most awful fucking questions and getting sound bites for answers.
Yeah.
That's why an interview is useful. Having someone like Andrew Neil, who I'm not a massive fan of because of all of his spectator connections or everything else, but you set him in front of a politician and he'll rip the hole out of them.
Yeah.
Because they'll come and they'll answer a question and then he'll come back with a second question. This is the problem with questions. If it's saying that with like Prime Minister's question and everything else, there's never a follow-up.
Yeah,
So
deflections.
Exactly. So you can easily, like, one of the things I saw about Boris is, like, you get, like, 3 questions, like, here's a question, here's a question, here's a question. He can just ignore fucking 2 of them that you don't want and answer the 3rd one.
Yeah, and
he
did do that. At one point they asked him 3 questions, and one of them was about Russia interference, the thing that he's hidden, you know. And he answered 2 and then didn't answer that. And then later on the guy came back and went, no, I want to ask you about the Russia thing. And then Boris gave some, you know, shitty answer. Yeah. And the guy tried to go, no, I want you to properly answer it. And but the guy wouldn't shut up, and it was live. So the guy kept going for about a minute, going, no, but this is the most important thing, you need to answer it. And eventually he didn't get an answer at all. But that's the problem, because, as you said, they get literally 30 seconds to answer, and it's never going to actually, A, be a satisfactory answer, and B, they're not actually going to do anything off the back of it.
Yeah, it's a touchy one for Boris, because he's actually quoted a year or 2 ago saying that there was suspected Russian interference, and now that he's trying to sit on the papers about it.
Yeah, but if you're not going to bring out the Russian papers that they've done on the interference and everything else, then the only question is why.
Yeah.
That's it. Because the claim was
so
that...
Avoid the overall topic. He should have been getting asked questions about why the papers aren't released.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, why have you not released the papers when you should have done? Because the rules are... it was signed off by all of the secret services. It was all ticked off there. And then it was handed over to the PM to have a look at. He's got 10 days to look at it. After those 10 days, he either says no or you bring it out. But he needs to say no for a reason. Well, they didn't. They said, oh, we're not bringing it out. Why, though? Why are you not doing this? The argument comes is a lot of money that the Conservatives have gotten. You see, just over the couple of weeks of the election, they've received more donations, over 7,500 than anyone else.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, by far. I think, like, no one else is hitting 1 million, and they've got 5 mil. Go, well, where's this money coming from? And we need to know where the money is coming from. Because if it is coming from former aides of Putin or everything else...
Well, when that first came out, that was the story, wasn't it? Some guys connected, like mates with Putin, had been contributing.
It was his wife.
But I think a Tory donor has come out and said, release the papers, just, I think, more so to clear his name, in a way.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, I don't think that Putin is... like giving money to the Conservative Party to change policy. I think all of this Russian interference in the Russian election, it's there to take away all of the trust. Because once you take away trust, then there's no real way to grow together. It's why leaving the EU is such a useful thing for Putin, and spreading the things like Brexit and everything else, and saying, oh, you can't trust this, you can't trust this, you can't trust this. They're awful. They're all awful. Because what you have is more people growing, listening to this and going, yeah, they are. Maybe the EU isn't the best thing for us together.
Yeah.
Which garners Putin exactly what he wants, which is a broken Europe, which he can then pick off bits by bits. I mean, we still forget that he is currently still invading Ukraine. He's still he's still invading Ukraine. And so we've got a point where in Europe, we've got Russia, who is currently invading places. You never have anyone like Stop the War, who piss me off beyond fucking the pale. Yeah. Like people like Stop the War, Corbyn, and all these fucking whiny little fuck knuckles who go along and go, oh, we need to stop all the wars. This is awful. This is the thing. Fucking Israel is fucking terrible. The US fucking terrible. What about Russia? Very nice, very nice.
They're the underdogs.
Strong on you, strong.
Is that because they're worried that if we try and get involved in Russia, there'll be a world war, though? Is that not?
No, it's because they're whiny little fucks that really care about pissing off the West. Because that's the cool thing to do. The West are awful. They kill people left, right, and centre, of course.
Yeah, they do have a sickle to grind, to be honest.
You need to hold the West to account. America love bombing people. It's their favourite. Shooting up schools and bombing countries is the American pastime. Because after a certain amount of time, you have to question what is a pastime.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, habitual.
It's not American freedom. It's not the American dream. The American dream is washed in blood. Normally with children screaming and someone being raped. That's the American dream at this point, you know? Anyway.
Why weren't you
are you trying to do
You should be on Question Time saying it was live. You could have said that.
I could have said that, couldn't I?
I was hoping someone would just call someone a cunt, and it would just be out there. It'd be live. They wouldn't be able to stop them.
I would have called them all. Every single one of them.
I would love
just
that.
Just taking me time. Make sure there's eye contact.
You watch it live, and every time, first question, Ashley, you're a cunt, mate. All 4 of them, everyone in the row, just every time.
What's your question? Do you agree or disagree? Move on to the next one. Same question.
That's the other thing, because every time Joe Swinson was like, yeah, I understand your point.
She was meant to have had a fucking car crash.
Yeah, she was dreadful.
Yeah?
Yeah, really, really poor. Really
Which is bad, because like 2000...
Could be an experience thing. She's quite a bit much younger than the others, isn't she?
I mean, she's also played a fucking ham-fisted attempt at this election. The Lib Dems have done... Oh, God.
But aren't they coming from nothing after being... Like, people were pretty pissed off with them after the last running?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, that was the 2017...
Like, are they still in their damage limitation mode?
2015, wasn't it?
I think they lost all of their seats in 2015.
Yeah.
Because of Clegg. They gained a few back in 2017, but they were still...
Yeah, but because they had like 12 at one point for the 2015. But that was because the Tories played a blinder and just went, all the things you don't like, their fault.
Yep.
And the Lib Dems never once just went, are you sure? No, look at them. Here's all the proof. This is everything they wanted to do. They wanted to bring back workhouses. Look, I've got the emails for you.
Yeah.
Which is what they should have done, but at the same time, like, would you trust the Lib Dems to do anything?
Not just Lib Dems. It seems like the parties are afraid to play the conservative tactics of dirty.
I mean, the lying so far this week, the lying of the Tory parties is something fucking Brobdingnagian at this point.
Surely it's illegal, like setting up fake websites and fake Twitter accounts. Is this, or is it?
One of my news stories plays into that.
Go on. What's this news story?
Well, did you see that Sacha Baron Cohen did a speech?
Yes.
To the
I watched the speech yesterday. Yeah.
Defamation League about Facebook and it's how dangerous it is for the propaganda element. You can buy ads for anything.
Very good speech.
And he said something like, if this was the 1930s, Facebook would be selling ads to Hitler for anti-Semitism and stuff, which isn't surprising because they're selling it to fucking Johnny fucking Knuckletats down the street already. So like it's not going to be
Johnny Knuckletats. He's a good guy.
yeah.
I'm sick of people slurring Johnny Knuckletats.
That's going to be a fucking character act soon.
But the more I read about that, the response to that here was like there was a meeting of the International Grand Committee on Disinformation and Fake News that they met in Dublin but it was the third time that they've met since this all sort of blew up.
Mm-hmm.
So far, Twitter have apparently banned all political propaganda as of the 22nd yesterday.
Yes.
Google are saying they're going to stop micro marketing, which is what they're based on. So I highly doubt that's going to happen, but it's using Chrome browser statistics to target people for things.
Mm-hmm.
But my question was, the fact that it was in Ireland and that's the HQ of a lot of those big companies, do you think they're finally starting to take notice they're going to have to do something, or is this all just sort of placating?
Well, if they continue going how
Is
they're
it too
going,
profitable?
then there will be a time in a few years where people do finally rise up against them and they will be hung, drawn and quartered.
Or they continue to do what they're doing and just through algorithms keep everyone in their little like echo chamber. So people don't... You say yourself you've never been sent political propaganda on Twitter.
No, never.
So they just know their target audience, basically.
Yes, but I mean, like, there was... I mentioned last week that...
you read my
with
notes?
the health centre. The health websites in the UK have been sharing data with people like Google and everything else because there's no Hippocratic oath with regards to WebMD. So everyone is on WebMD finding out what's wrong with themselves, like why is it still erect, why is it coming at me arse, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's all being used, all their drug prescriptions, everything they use. All of that data is being shared with people who do advertising on Google to be able to direct what they're doing. and this is coming on from that with regards to Facebook and sharing data. Going,
Facebook have just said that they do fight hate speech, but they haven't really made the moves that other people have. Although they haven't been brought in front of Congress either, so maybe they have done something behind the scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, they're fighting hate speech in the same way that a couple play fight before they fuck.
With
They
knives.
go, oh no, please don't hurt me. Stick it in. This is very much how they're dealing with it. Because last week, I think it was Zuckerberg, or was it October? I think it was October. Zuckerberg had a secret meeting with Trump in the White House that was not documented. So the idea that he's fighting hate speech is madness, as a sense. They're not going to do anything because there's money in it.
They're trying to find allegiance between the different firms, or at least I'd say that those big firms are going to be for the West, obviously.
But they're going to be fighting each other because Twitter with the political ads, they're banning all the political ads, but they've also come out and said that not all political ads, because you can't just do a blanket on all political ads. So anything where you're telling people to register to vote, that's going to be allowed.
Okay.
But anything individual or as a party trying to spread stuff about like manifestos and all of this is going to be banned.
What's the minutiae of that though? Like you can say, "Oh, register to vote to keep these bloody Inuits out." Like, is it still?
I mean, you've got a thing about the Inuits, haven't you?
They're so racist. I can't stand it.
I mean,
moving on.
You require a fucking
can it be
SETI and someone caring about your opinions go through your issues with fucking Inuits, and that is not me.
Minutes and minutes of counselling. My question was if they can say get out and vote, which is a solid statement, but what can they add? How can they fatten that up or jazz it up with their own slant? I'm
not sure if they're going to be allowed to. I think it is just like vote Tory, register to vote, that type of thing will be fine, but vote Tory because Labour are doing this, it won't be allowed. Because
will the tactics become slayer, more passive aggressive?
Potentially, but I mean this is
yes. So could Labour put like vote Labour to change the country, because that's kind of their slogan, but also it's not specific enough to necessarily. It could be just a throwaway line. Because if you vote, it will change the country for whoever you vote for. So would they get away with that? Like, obviously saying get Brexit done, that is a slogan which is political.
Yeah,
but
take
if
back
they just
control
said,
is a good one.
But if they just said to change the country, is that... I don't know. I mean, you're not Twitter, I know this, so...
I mean, I'm not. You're quite right. They haven't even really explained the minutiae of it.
I mean, again,
I think what we're going to be learning is... it's going to be... I think we're going to learn over time. Because you're going to hear more stories about what hasn't been allowed. And then we'll find out over time which isn't and which is.
Well, a big thing with Twitter this week was the whole, conservatives pretending to be fact-checked. Yes. And that was fine.
Did you
but
see
apparently some people who pretended to be the conservatives, pretending to be fact-checked, they were suspended.
Ralph Little.
Which is insanity. That's absolute insanity.
From the royal family got banned, yeah.
So you can't pretend to be someone who's pretending to be someone else, but you can pretend to be someone else if you're in power. Is that it? If you've got but then Ralph Little's famous. He's got money. I don't understand.
I think he did a carbon copy of it, but instead of office he said orifice, so they probably got him on that or something. Something big, petty. But then Armando Iannucci and Charlie Brooker did the same thing, and they weren't banned. So he might have been a bit more aggressive.
Maybe just Twitter really hates Ralph Little. It's just a personal thing from one Twitter employee. Who knows?
I think...
But there were smaller accounts that were also apparently suspended because of that. I don't know why. Maybe it might have been suspended because they changed it and then went, I think Boris is a cunt, which you're more likely to get suspended for if you use that language, obviously.
I once got suspended from Twitter for calling Piers Morgan a cunt.
You did, and didn't they try and force you to apologise?
No, they suspended me, and I sent them quite a long email explaining how I could prove it scientifically. And so me calling him a cunt wasn't an insult, it was based on fact.
And now you're back on Twitter, so clearly they agreed.
Oh, I just had to deal with the amount of time I was suspended for. So
okay.
I got a lot done, I'll be honest. Twitter is dreadful. But, I mean, you make a valid point with regards to online. This general election is going to be fought online more than anything else.
Yeah.
Made the point a few shows ago that the Tories have employed a couple of people to head their online stuff who have been involved in propaganda in different countries in the past.
Yeah.
Run campaigns in a number of different countries pushing propaganda. And we're already getting this where we have, because back in 2017, one of the things that the Tories weren't happy with was the fact that they lost the online battle to Labour.
Quite badly, really,
Yeah.
if you looked at it, you know.
Exactly. I mean, you had people like Another Angry Voice and all of these people, The Canary, and which, I mean, if anyone reads The Canary, they deserve to be fucking chucked out of something high.
These goddamn Corbynistas.
Fucking, no, yeah, The Canary lies just as bad as any other fucking publication.
If you have an advertisement on your
Ridiculous.
website, you're playing to someone's market, you know.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the people that they're playing to are fucking like some form of hummus maker, some shit. Fuck every single one of them, tedious wanks. Where was I?
Online.
I hate them people.
Online.
There's going to be this on an aside. There's going to be a fucking debate on about propaganda, and on one side of the argument is going to be the fucking editor of The Canary and Brendan O'Neill, who's the editor of Spiked. Go, mate, if you've got them two together, then that's no longer an argument. What you've got there is a vacuum of stupidity.
You need people who are not involved in an actual website, people who are not involved in spreading anything, people who...
I mean, having them to understand... I mean, I can't even... imagine having a wrestling tag team...
Yeah.
...that involves a lump of shit and a spreader.
So what's their tag team name?
Spreading shit.
Awesome, good.
I assume. Because that's all it is. It's a fucking shit and someone spreading it. It's fucking... I can't believe that them two would be allowed on the same fucking bus, let alone the same stage.
But I bet you they'd win the tag titles, mate.
Oh,
spreading
yeah,
shit.
No one would want to fucking touch them.
The crowd would love spreading shit. They'd go wild.
Legion of Poo. On the internet,
yes.
and what they're doing here, Russia announced this week that by July 2020, all smartphones, computers, and smart TVs need to either be Russian-made or from an outside manufacturer willing to allow local software to be on it.
I assume that's just in Russia.
Of course, yeah, just in Russia.
Come out and explained how they're owning everything.
Yeah,
but there's some backlash from obviously businessmen saying that it's going to put off manufacturers. That Putin claimed that they can install whatever they want on any phone, but obviously if it's from big iPhones, and we see in China, and I don't know how to pronounce that name, the Huawei or something. Their phones have shit as well. So I think it's all the superpowers are trying to attack the internet, basically lock everything down. So they have I think Putin even described it as he wants something similar to what China have. You know, the Great Firewall of China.
That is a fucking... there is no point where ever saying I want what China have is going to be a good thing. Very rarely. Unless China are holding like a particularly juicy apple. There's nothing you can say, I want what China have.
Yeah.
Do you though?
Kung Fu's been fact checked. It's not as useful as we thought.
I mean, this is...
And back in... Was that this week? A few weeks ago, they passed the sovereign internet law in Russia, which gives the government power to restrict bandwidth and traffic like China.
So I mean, that's
pretty much all in place.
Purely authoritarian, is it?
Yeah, that is, yeah. Do you think we'd be heading towards this here? Do you think?
I mean, we have tons
We're pretty much there already.
Yeah, we have tons of laws already in place with regards to regulation and our own freedoms. You look at, I mean, personally for me, something like the Royal Charter on press, I think that's against press freedom straight away.
For the audience at home, can you explain that?
The Royal Charter
to the one Irishman here.
The Royal Charter is the charter that came out with regards to press regulation, and so the government have their own regulatory body that is no longer IPOS, which IPOS was a selection of you basically have self-regulation in the press, which I think is good, but then people always go on about the Levinson inquiry. What they don't mention about the Levinson inquiry is the fact that what people did that was bad in the Levinson inquiry was fucking illegal. We already have laws in place where you can't hack and all of this stuff. Get the police involved, arrest these fuckers, do that.
Yeah.
The idea of now allowing a government-appointed regulator for press is not my thing, especially when Impress was originally funded by Max Mosley, who in himself has been caught up in some interesting stories in the past, and father was, of course, quite a bad man. Of course, you shouldn't judge him.
He identifies
based
as
on
black now, he's a bad boy.
I mean, black-shirted, certainly.
And is that a recent change?
Oh no, this was 2016 maybe before, something like that.
Oh, I'm sure because it's all illegal and no one has really read it, but any news on the Aaron Banks data leak?
I took a step back from it, mainly because of the amount of people who are going along and saying this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. So
within 12 hours, the like, what's the term? Interference or whatever was already out there, posting fakes.
Well, it's shit posting, isn't it? That's what you're doing at that point.
Yeah.
So like, get all of this, all of this, all of this, and this is what propaganda is. Propaganda nowadays is just to muddy the water, confuse you enough so you don't actually know what's truth and what's lies. So what I'm really waiting for is someone like Caroline Codswallop to do it, confirm it all, bring out a story onto it, then I'll fucking read that.
And have they shut that down by his use of EU regulation?
I'm not keeping a fucking eye on that.
The irony of Aaron Banks using European law to try and
it's
block.
beautiful.
Yeah, wasn't there a thing where someone, I think the group led by donkeys, had bought like BrexitParty.com, and Nigel Farage was trying to get it back using EU regulations.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Insanity.
I mean, the idea that any fucking party doesn't own every possible variation of their name and dot something. It's just so stupidity.
How did the Tories not buy the Conservative manifesto website when they were buying the Labour one? Did you see the one that like someone did a spoof one to
really
take the piss out
Are
of the
these
Tories?
all they shouldn't be allowed to run the country. If you can't, when you're going, I've got to fucking, this is going to be really good. We're going to get Labour manifesto and we're going to put it up and it's going to fucking have them.
I can't see how they can get us back on this one.
You fucking mental, you shitheads. You wouldn't allow them to look after a pet rock. Would you?
Technically, they are looking after a pet rock, Rocky Island.
Yeah, this isn't a pet, you know.
It's gone rabid.
Priti Patel. The smiley smug cunt. She claimed that the government this week is not at fault for the soaring poverty levels in the UK. Instead blamed local councils. Who would you blame for the poverty in this country?
In her defence, they deleted that footage, so that never happened.
Oh, the BBC deleted the footage from their Midlands page or whatever, but the video is already there. So you can see that smirking fuck knuckle.
Yeah, she's evil.
She is evil.
She's pure evil.
She's a handsome woman, though. I have to give her that.
I mean, she's.
I'd never seen her before until this week.
I mean, she's not ugly, but in the soul, she looks like deformed. You know,
looks like start the reactor, Quaid.
Like if you looked at her soul, then the Spartans would have killed her as a child. You know?
All right, flexing your history knowledge. Thanks.
I mean, that was more my knowledge of 300. I'll be honest.
Painted on six packs.
Oh. You need to reference that more in this, I think.
Who are we blaming for poverty, and why are we blaming them?
I mean, obviously the Conservatives.
Why?
Because they have, they've led to, poverty in terms of people on benefits. They're the ones who have, they've added laws to, not raise people's benefits. They voted to lower people's benefits. Yes. They voted to, Ian Duncan Smith, who is one of the biggest cunts in the Tory party.
Oh, yeah.
Which is saying something, but, he's the one.
It's very difficult to pick up.
If you look at universal credit and how they rolled that out, and people were saying it's not working, and he went, no, let's just keep rolling it out. Let's just keep rolling out. And then Boris Johnson yesterday said universal credit's working fine, which it's fucking not.
No, it's not.
I've got a family who's on universal credit, and it's fucking people over. People are really suffering. They're dealing with a system where, a real world example for me this year was when my mum's wages went up by 2p an hour, which meant the benefit system said, you lose £22 of your benefits, and it doesn't add up.
No.
People earn 96p more a month, and they take away 22 quid, and that's why people are in poverty, and that's because of the DWP, a government department. That's them doing that. It's their policy. So if she thinks it's the council, she can get to fuck. Hate her so much.
Do you reckon that the Tory party, and it kind of came out with the Aaron Banks thing, that are they hoping that they can get away with fucking people over because that distrust can be swept up by the Brexit party
they have
types?
For the last 9 years got away with it. So
and they're going to get more votes than anyone else this time as well. The question is whether or not it's going to be a majority. That is literally the only question.
It says a lot that most people I know are hopeful it'll be a hung parliament, because that's the best we can hope for. It's depressing and shit. It really is,
But I mean, you also got the idea that you have a leader in the opposition, in Corbyn, who is currently up against the worst, a selection of the worst parties that this world has ever seen. And he can't get a proper hook in even the popularity. You can't get nothing.
Is that not partly, though, due to the huge bias in the media that is clearly pro-Conservative because they don't want to pay their taxes?
I don't know, because I can't even remember Miliband getting this. And
he got a lot of shit, Miliband.
Yeah, but no, Miliband had a lot of shit. But
he was on the front page for failing to eat a bacon sandwich. It was mental.
Yes, but exactly. But
that's not a policy.
But he wasn't this far behind on popularity.
No.
The opposition should be ahead in popularity when you've got a government that's fucking over. Every time there's things. Fucking, you had Ian Duncan Smith at some point was ahead of Blair in popularity.
Really? Fucking hell.
Because he was the leader of the opposition when Tony Blair could start wars, because really the opposition wasn't really there.
I think looking at it even-handedly, what you were talking about earlier, that the country's being divided. Russia likes the fact that the country's divided. I think that's what Corbyn's going for with his staying neutral on the referendum and stuff, and that they're beating him over the back with that.
Yeah, but no, but he's 100% right to be neutral on Brexit.
To be a good leader.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
3 years ago, that would be a great policy. For the next, and for the 3 years after that, great policy. You stay neutral. I want to do, it's not happening, that's absolutely fine. Coming and saying it now, you seem weak. You seem weak, you seem confused, you seem like you don't have a fucking idea what you're going on about. What, you haven't got an opinion in fucking 3 years, you've not read any economic benefits or lack of benefits or anything of Brexit. You're just going to stay neutral now. Where were you fucking 3 years ago on staying neutral?
I think is he not just throwing that out just to move on to something else? Like, just to get past it?
Like, okay, right. Let's hit the manifestos.
Okay.
The one thing you said you didn't want to do today.
I don't want to do a lot. I don't want to do a lot on the manifestos.
I mean, is it difficult to cover them all when the Conservatives haven't released theirs yet?
Oh, let's not. I mean, let's just straight away assume that the Tory manifesto full of shit.
Yeah.
Let's assume that it's going to be awful. There's probably going to be something about using the disabled for fuel.
Fucking hell.
It's
dark, man.
Well, I mean, the main issue is taking people out of the fucking wheelchairs before burning them, because you can't burn people in wheelchairs because if you do that, not good for the environment, is it? You have to start considering.
As if the Tories give a shit about the environment.
Well, you have to. That's the big thing. You have to make sure that you care, or at least look like you're caring about the environment.
Yeah, planting trees seems to be massive.
Okay, so they'll burn a wheelchair and they'll plant
and
a tree next week.
Where's that fucking
the annual floods never seem to spurn any, we need to plant more trees in floodplains, but the fact that it's at an international level topic now that they're starting to go, we have to kill these green
spending
parties.
on trees and forestries fell by nearly 20 million a year between 2015 and 2018, despite pledges to plant more trees.
Fuck. But both Lib Dems and Tories have both said they'll plant more. I read that, which
I assume that everyone else, like the Green Party, have said they're going to plant more trees.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Everyone goes on about how wonderful the Tory manifesto, the Labour manifesto was fantastic. Oh my God, so progressive, so moving forward. It was absolutely amazing. Why not the Greens? Look at the Green manifesto. The Green manifesto is just as fucking progressive.
Yeah.
And don't hate the Jews.
No one wants to be on a losing team.
I mean, that's the thing.
Why vote for Labour then?
But in the grand scale of things,
the Greens are not going to get more than one seat. That's the thing.
Yeah, but
I wish they could. I wish they could get more. I wish
if everyone actually voted for them.
You said last week that your Tower Hamlets area is like 70-something%.
74% Labour last time, so the chance of anyone else getting in are slim to fucking none.
Mine's pretty similar. I looked it up today. But there's a Trotsky-esque party in my area.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Worker or something they're called.
God.
So
might throw them a bone.
I mean, would you vote Green?
I am going to vote for Green.
Okay.
But my vote doesn't fucking matter. Because I'm in such a safe seat, my vote doesn't matter. So I'm able to vote without need for any form of moral quandary. Because I'm not there. Because I know that Labour are going to get in. I don't need to tactically vote to keep the Tories out.
But overall, it erodes people's faith in the power of the vote.
Yeah, but that's been for ages. As I said before, 130 years we haven't changed first
I'm new to politics. Please.
Yeah, but you were here last week with a fucking show.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more about it this week.
Well,
Nice.
Do you feel with the country, the whole world, more and more going to shit because of the environment, that there might be a time, not this election obviously, but in future years where the Green Party might have a chance of at least being the third biggest part, at least getting somewhere,
I think if they're not doing it now, then potentially never. But when you've got first past the post, there needs to be quite a big seismic change for most of it.
Yeah.
This is why I've always been a fan of like a PR aspect, because if you can get to a point where even the Greens have, 15 seats, you have slightly more of a voice there to be able to say when you need to get a particular policy over the line, say, well, we need your 15 votes for this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fine, but what we require is a little bit on the Green side.
Yeah.
Something quid pro quo. I can't say that, so I'm not gonna.
Quid. I can't say either now.
No, can you? Can you say it?
Quid pro quo.
There you go.
You fucked it up a bit as well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm drinking.
I mean, fucking hell.
I've
never felt like more of a useless human being than that point. That was impressive because I was Ed Axel was on last week.
Yeah.
And he was talking about one of the problems with PR is that what you're going to have is a constant need for compromise. I've been thinking about that a lot this week because I think that is potentially one of the best ways forward. Because if you require the need for compromise all of the time, then you'll have two options. Either you'll never get anything done, or your argument will start to become better. Because you'll now have to be better to help compromise. I want this. This is the idea I've got for moving forward. I need to be able to explain this well enough for them to fucking back it.
And do you think that would mean that the parties would try and work together more? Because they'd be like, if you help me out, I'll help you out, and that's what people need. That's what the country probably needs,
The idea of having like one solid party moving forward I don't necessarily think works anymore because there's so many blind spots for everyone. The green climate and everything else being one of them. Once you've got different parties who are looking at different things more important than others.
Yeah.
And so working together, you may have a chance of actually having a full-on idea of the best way of moving forward. Because the idea that it's either socialism or capitalism. No, it ain't.
Yeah.
Both of them do not work.
Yeah.
Neither of them work. If they did, they would have fucking worked by now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing about people going like, it's socialism versus capitalism. Like, if the Labour got in, they wouldn't destroy capitalism. They'd try and implement socialist policies within it. But it's not. They're not going to replace it. It's not. Oh, take that one out and put this other one in. That's not how it works because.
Well, they can't do anyway. I mean, socialism just doesn't work. I hate to break it to people, and I know that everyone loves fucking socialism, but it doesn't work. And it's not just because of the people. Because you look at every fucking country that has socialism, even if you're looking at the South American countries are the prime examples of it, they're going, oh yeah, but that's because of the people. Well then, there's my argument for why capitalism doesn't work then, because of the people. If you had the right people in capitalism, then capitalism would be fantastic. It's not the people, it's the idea. It's the fundamentals of the idea that doesn't work. You can't carry on going. The reason that we haven't got a good deal in Brexit is because of the wrong people. No, because it's fundamentally, the idea does not work.
But does capitalism work?
No, of course it doesn't. It's a shit idea. Look at it.
So which
Look around.
So
what about Trotskyism?
Oh, mate. I mean, I'd rather
waiting for minutes to say that.
At that point, I'd rather have the fucking. I'd rather watch what the clangers are doing and follow them.
It's big and Pepkin Ray. That's what I'm saying.
That's it. See if we can't fucking find a soup dragon and live off of him for fucking years.
Are you the Trotskyist candidate in your thing? Is this
I don't
a
even
really
know
subtle
what Trotsky
PR thing
is
to
or
be
what he
like,
does
I
or
think
what's
this
about?
is a good idea. People should definitely vote for this.
So what was? Let's not get into that. I'll Google Trotsky later.
But because this is one of the fundamentals that we have as a problem with any politics now. The ideas we have are so old and have proven that they do not work at all, and we're still hanging on to them.
You're pushing the bad ideas, but is it not the fact that people are flawed? Like, no idea is really going to be foolproof until we're
no, but you can have better, like the 1940s, where there was a lot gentler capitalism, where you didn't have the leader of a company earning 3,000 3,000 times more than the lowest. And you were also bringing in some more socialist ideas, NHS, welfare, and all of that.
Yeah.
That, wonderful. That is a wonderful mixture of the two that has a potential to work. Because you can't straight away get rid of capitalism, because I think you'll stunt growth in terms of new ideas. Because people who invent new ideas, some of them do it because of money.
Shout out Elon Musk.
Yeah, but progression comes because of money. You need the money for the progression, and people want to make money off the fucking ideas. You know?
Yeah.
Invention helps with that, and so having them two together can be useful.
So
get them to fuck, have a baby. That's what we want moving forward. That's my idea.
The breeding of socialists and.
How long have we done, by the way?
We're on 49.
49.
I've just thought of something. I presume it's not possible because, I mean, I don't know how it would work. But would there ever be a possibility where, like, the Conservatives win 280 seats, so they need 60 more, and then Labour go, we'll give you 60, or I don't know.
Would that not dissolve the whole
I know it would, yeah.
system that they
But
have
it
going
does-
here?
I'm going to go 4 words, but you two carry on, and then we'll close.
Okay, let's whip out some of my bullshit stories.
But yeah, no. I mean, that wouldn't work, but it feels like we do need more corporations somehow. There needs to be something, because otherwise,
I think
it's people at each other's throats all the time.
Yeah, well, that sells papers. I'm sure people living in rural areas look out their window and it's all fine, really. Tesla. Did you see that Cybertruck? story
what's
this week?
What's this?
Elon Musk released his Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
It's all angular and stainless steel. It looks like it's kind of like a DeLorean on like it's a pickup.
Right.
Like it's supposed to be like a ute or whatever.
So what does it do?
He released it. They're releasing this new battery powered pickup truck that can hold up to 6 people and pull. I'm not sure of your empiric scale here. Is 3,500 pounds 3.5 tons?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
It's foreign to me, but it can apparently pull that on battery.
Oh, okay.
And he was doing a big demonstration talk, and he got his head designer to get a metal ball bearing, like a cannonball, to throw it at this apparently bulletproof, shatterproof glass, and boom, shattered straight away. And he's just sort of all awkward, going, "Oh, it didn't work like this in the testing." And and then Elon goes, "Oh, why don't you try the other window?" Like I think he must have been clutching for anything. And the guy actually goes, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yeah, go for it." Boom, second window is smashed.
Oh my god!
So it's kind of ruined their whole release. It's the ugliest looking vehicle I've ever seen.
That
anyway,
does sound funny though.
I think Elon Musk has just watched Blade Runner too many times.
Are we talking about Elon Musk's car?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful.
So
let's quick fire for the last 10 minutes over the rest of the news stories I've got.
Yep.
So we've gone Priti Patel. Tories have banned the Mirror from getting on the election bus with other journalists this week. Now, what are our views? Quickly, is this good? Is this bad? Is this indifferent?
banned the Mirror.
Yeah.
Just them.
Yep.
Why?
Because the Mirror are a well-known left-wing Labour supporting paper,
Right.
and they have not been necessarily kind to Boris.
I've heard that Boris is avoiding various public interactions with people. He's been sort of shepherded a bit.
He should have been doing that for fucking years.
Yeah. Is it just part of? I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem like something they should be able to do, or they should do.
Should there be laws in place that that no political party can ban any journalists? Should there be a level on what we consider a journalist? Because
second question is very pertinent. Yes, but go back to your first question. Can we just get them a day pass? They can hop on, hop off any bus they want. Just any politicians.
This is their own. This is their own bus. This isn't like
no. But if they're going to insist on
like a number 42,
if they're going to insist on using Cliff Richard-esque like nostalgia
you
to
think
push.
You think that their buses should have to stop and then we can all get on?
Yeah, to interview them.
Get on.
Yeah. Bushman's
Very good
holiday.
idea. I fucking love that idea.
I think election buses are fucking weird.
Yes.
If it does feel like something that's left over from like the 40s, you see it and go, what the fuck is that? Why have we got this huge bus with your face on it? It's just weird.
An election rickshaw, that's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only time...
With the leader of the party doing the fucking peddling.
Well, it's probably the only time in his life Boris has been on an actual bus.
Yes.
It's just...
Do you know the story about him? He was interviewed when he first became PM, and they were, what did you like to do as a kid? And he goes, "Oh, I was obsessed with making model buses." That's not the question or his reply. Oh, really?
Yeah, because the question was on talk radio, and it was, "What do you do for fun?" And he replied with, "I paint buses onto crates."
They're not model buses.
No, he paints buses onto crates, and the bloke who did the interview got a job as an advisor for Boris Johnson.
But what you
should have done is listen to the fucking last show that I did, that you were at, and you did the sound for at the Museum of Comedy. Then you would have heard that, because that was part of the fucking thing that I spoke about.
That's allegedly.
Right, next, Rachel Riley. She's faced a backlash this week after wearing a T-shirt photoshopped Jeremy Corbyn. It was the Jeremy Corbyn well-known photo at the anti-apartheid protest, and she swapped whatever was written on there with Jeremy Corbyn is a racist endeavour. Now, thoughts very quick.
I think that's just a like Lily Allen-esque celebrity trying to get some shine.
Yeah.
I've heard that she has turned a bit into a right wing sort of.
A lot of people are saying she's like a new Hopkins about Rachel Riley, which I don't know.
I think that's a fucking stretch and a half.
I don't know enough about her.
But I think it is. I think there's an
herself
element of just trying to get some shine. Joe, this will get me tweets.
I feel like
retweets.
my general thing was like, regardless of your point, if you're eliminating something that was like anti,
Yes.
I think that's fucking.
Yeah, if
I think it's
you're-
a stupid thing to do.
I think they nipped it
It's-
in the bud with I preferred Carl Vorderman. Did you see that retaliation meme? They just put that on the poster.
Well, but even with that, they put that on the poster. You're taking away anti-apartheid fucking speech.
Yeah,
to put
totally.
on. I'm thinking this. I mean,
No, is it not?
they're all
Is it
fucking
is it
idiots.
not a follow up to? It's a different thread.
No, yeah, but you're using the same fucking tool as she did, and just
So
being-
Photoshop is anti-democratic in your eyes?
if you're removing an anti-apartheid message to place your own message, then don't do it. Quite simple this week.
That's Ashley Haden's tip for the day.
Right.
Mother, delete my internet history.
I mean, we'll go through all the fucking lies that the Tories have done this week. Let's have a look. During a debate, challenged the official. During the debate, they changed the official Twitter account to Fact Check UK. We know that. There was a Keir Starmer edited video, the Jess Phillips edited video, and just they're lying. They're just constantly lying. I don't want any things on that. They're just fucking lying. They're scum. Strictly Come Dancing.
Here we go. This is a big topic.
200 complaints for the first same-sex routine. Well, 189 complaints for it being offensive. Now, this is the most complaints that Strictly have ever got, I understand. Do we think that... What are your thoughts, quick?
I think people who fucking make complaints to BBC fucking evening TV shows aren't worth worrying about.
Yep.
I think 200 people's not worth worrying about. Like that news story is, there's 200 homophobes. Yeah, there are. They can get to fuck. That's it. I don't give a shit,
Yep.
Totally, yeah.
Very good. Laura Kesberg was booed at a Labour manifesto launch before asking a question. She was defended.
That's impressive.
She was defended by Corbyn, but he didn't defend her in the past when she was booed. This is on the same with Tories banning the Mirror. Should our political parties have at least some form of morals in place on how they treat journalists? And should people treat journalists better?
It's interesting because I think, political parties should respect journalists, but also journalists should do their fucking job and not be biased. That's kind of...
Yes, I mean, there's a very interesting discussion to be had on that we can't do here. Yourself? Got a view on it?
Oh, no, I think both journalism... people have lost faith in journalism and politics.
Fantastic.
So they both need to pull it up.
Phony identities have reached record highs on Facebook. 2 in 5 adults would fake a sick day if they needed a day off, and 66% would not tell their bosses if they knew that their colleagues were absent but not ill. Yourself, would you take a sick day if you needed a day off and you weren't ill?
I mean, if the reason was... something important, then yes, absolutely. I think everyone's done that. If you want to go to...
Would you protect someone if you knew that they weren't ill but took a day off?
Yeah, I'm not going to be a snitch, mate.
Yes, 100%. Snitches get stitches.
Fantastic.
I don't even think that's news. I think most people do that.
It was a study that came out.
It's called being sound, Ash.
It was a study that came out.
Like, would you do it? Would you do it?
Mate, I mean... Depends who watches it, I'll be honest.
Never missed a day's work in my life.
Depends if I need a fucking job in the future. That's how I work. Amnesty International has claimed that security forces in Chile have deliberately injured people taking part in the mass demonstrations with an aim of discouraging further protests. Have we kept up with what's going on in Chile?
No.
I haven't, no.
Fantastic. Next
Iran,
one.
kicking off.
Sorry, Chile.
It's fascinating what's going on there because it all harks back to Pinochet, who was a cunt. Over in Illinois, children as young as 5 are being locked into rooms during school hours. Some of them being for laws for reasons that are against the law. Now, some of these rooms are called the reflection room, the cool down room, the calming room, the quiet room. Most of these children that are being placed into these rooms have disabilities. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, top of your head, best way of dealing with disabled children if they get slightly out of hand?
I mean, you should probably have a specialist who knows how to work with them. You should probably have someone who actually understands their needs and actually helps them, instead of just puts them in the room.
Yep.
But if funding is low, check out if they identify as black first, and then carry on. In what sense is this a school that has?
This is lots of schools over in Illinois because seclusion rooms are not illegal in Illinois.
So it's like the naughty step sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, but a locked room. I mean,
with no education.
No, just locked a room for like. I mean, some of them have been put in for like 5 hours at a time.
Fucking hell, that's disgusting.
Oh yeah, I read all the fun stuff, me.
Yeah.
And you seeing them. There's physical harm because they bang their heads against walls. They've ripped nails.
These are regular schools. Regular schools with handicapped people in them.
Yeah. I mean, there's regular schools with handicapped people in there. There's special schools, everything else. There's a wide range.
I mean, that's child abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of children, a group of children have lodged a complaint to the UN against France, Argentina, Brazil, Germany, and Turkey for its lagging effort in the fight for global crisis, climate crisis that we're currently facing.
Wow.
We will find out in the coming weeks if the CRC will decide whether the complaint is admissible or not. That is all of the stories that we have. I think we're heading towards the end. Do you have anything to plug?
I am doing. Do I do it over there?
Yes, now you can look in the camera.
Awesome. I'm doing a show at the Soho Theatre in January. It's political and it's really good, and it got good reviews in Edinburgh. So if you want to come and make me earn a bit of money for once, that'd be nice. It's in January 16th to 18th, and if not, I'm just on Twitter, all that shit, you know.
All the details will be below the video. Anyway, yourself, anything to plug?
No, not really. Just this abhorrent witch hunt on poor Prince Andrew, but we'll get back to that some other time.
It's not necessarily something I wanted to talk about this week. As always, thanks to me, Dex, and bye.